Hey, you're watching Half Asian Tarot Queen. I'm Elisa. When I split the deck, I got this Page of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. So it's kind of like, you know, the Five of Pentacles shows this scene of lack and just, it kind of reminds me of like, well, what came into my mind was like the idea of like a peace offering, like this, like, this sort of like tangible step forward, from this like sort of like war zone scene. So that's really positive. This reading, it's kind of happening during some like Virgo full moon energy. I already did a reading for the Virgo full moon, which I've uploaded and haven't posted yet, but I think since the actual Virgo full moon hasn't happened yet, I'm going to go ahead and maybe do 2 readings that have to do with the Virgo full moon, because why not? I'm a Virgo. Okay, so at the bottom of the deck, I got the moon. So this is like something which is maybe hidden, but interesting, because I was just also, because I'm talking about the Virgo full moon and we have this. So it could also, in this context, be like sort of signifying a timing of something happening. And we have next to it, we have the Fool going into this Four of Pentacles. So it's like interesting that we had this offer of like this tangible step forward, and then we have this someone taking a leap of faith into the unknown, but going right into like stability and like this stable foundation, which is really interesting, because, you know, usually the Fool just like takes off on a wild adventure on his own, but like interestingly, he's like walking right towards this. He's like taking a leap of faith into the unknown, but he's landing right into this like solid foundation, you know? And so like maybe that's something like there's a tangible offer that's going to come online for the Virgo full moon that might give some indication of that journey. Who knows? Because I think that Fool card came out in another reading, and I'm not sure if it was the Virgo full moon reading or another reading, but whatever reading it was, like I'll link it up here. Because it almost fell in like the same way. I think it was the one about the motherland, defending the motherland. But we'll check. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to the Mystical Shaman Oracle to pick out some other. The Mystical Shaman Oracle tends to have like a more spiritual bent to it. So we'll see. Okay, so we got, at the bottom of the deck, we got fire. So this is like a totally transformative moment where like things are changing. The fire, it's like the phoenix rising above the ashes, or just how like you burn things up in the fire and they change their state. Like wood turns into gas. Well, I mean, wood turns into like ash, and like water turns into gas, and like things are transformed, you know? And so we're going through this process, which is interesting because there's been a lot of readings where the Revolution card has come out, and so it does seem like we're sort of like in this moment, you know? And I mean, Exhibit A, like right now we have this Ukraine crisis that's going on, and it's like transforming all of the sort of like political alliances in the world, as well as like the global economy, you know? All of this is being, it's like forcing these changes, you know? We also have the drum, which speaks to sort of like this rhythm like the collective consciousness that sort of like pushes us forward. And what's interesting is that it fell out with the seer. Like these two cards fell out together, and the seer is all about like following the guidance of your intuition. And so it's like tuning into that guidance, but also allow yourself to be led by this rhythm, you know, and that is going to guide you through this transformation. So wow, like this really looks very climactic, a very climactic full moon. Okay, so I'm going to the Intuitive Night Goddess. Okay, when I split this deck, I got the Six of Pentacles and Reclamation. So the Six of Pentacles speaks to like balance, you know, like, and I feel like this has come up in other readings where it's like this freedom song's been coming out a lot, where it's like, you got to give for what you take. Like that message has been like a theme that's been recurring in a bunch of readings, but it's interesting that it comes out with reclamation, because it's just sort of like, reclamation is all about, you know, the devil and like toxic relationships and what happens when you have a distortion between those things. And so it's interesting that freedom comes up, because that's like bringing those things into balance. And so and freedom is really the opposite of, like, you know, the devil. So yeah, definitely a message of things being brought back into balance of power. And, you know, again, when I like, because I keep using the Ukraine crisis as an example of like the energy in the world that's being reflected, and it's all about this imbalance of power, you know, and that's really the root of the whole situation. And like people taking their power back, like reclamation. So very, very interesting. Okay, I'm going to pick one more card out of this. It reminds me of... Okay. Wow. Okay, so at the bottom we got the Eight of Cups. So in the traditional deck, this is a card of like walking away from something that you've maybe invested a lot in, but it like no longer serves you. So it's interesting because we have this Fool energy, which suggests somebody's like also walking away, but this person is walking into like something very stable, which is kind of unusual and ironic. But this person is walking away from something. And we have the Two of Swords, you know, which this can be like a stuck energy when you're kind of like blindfolded and you have this sort of internal dissonance because you're not really sure which way to go or which way to invest your energy. But what's interesting is that's followed by the Ten of Pentacles, introspection, the Hermit card, and the Wish. So it's like there's this person that's kind of stuck, but like what I'm getting from like these two cards right next to each other is this person's on this spiritual journey. They're being guided by their intuition, but they're also manifesting. The Witch is like the magician. Like this person has all the tools they need to make, you know, whatever they need come into existence. So it's like they're manifesting this abundant, stable situation, but they're stuck right now. And so it's like they might have to walk away from some situation that's not serving them in order to trigger this transformation that's going to bring them into this stable, abundant situation. That's kind of what I'm getting. And they're gonna need to like follow their intuition because they are being guided. So it's almost like a rite of passage that's happening for this person, for this Virgo full moon. Okay, I'm going to the Queen of the Moon Oracle. And I'm gonna, since it's a full moon and everything, I'm going to pull some moon cards. OMG. So I did a reading for someone yesterday, and that card came out in that reading too. Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay, so we got release, which kind of like makes sense. Like we're kind of like releasing what no longer serves us. And we have sovereignty, and we have wisdom. So it's like there's some profound lesson that's been learned from this experience. And we've now learned the lesson. So we're kind of like, we're taking our power back and stepping into our own sovereignty, our own power, our own stability. And that's the transformation. Like maybe cutting the cord on whatever's been holding you back, because like it's sort of like the end of the Wizard of Oz when she's like realizes that she's had the power all along, and so it's time to go home, you know. So yeah, it's like maybe she's had the power all along, and there's like people around her that maybe were aware of that and like taking it from her, and she's had to like kind of cut the cord on all of those situations that are no longer serving her in order to like reclaim her own sovereignty and her own power. So looks pretty climactic, but leading to a good place. So hopefully you have a good Virgo full moon, and I'm sure I'll be back soon with another reading.